Good evening, viewers, and welcome back to a brand new episode of our Startup Speak series. And as you all know, this is a series that it's a flagship program that celebrates the journeys and tremendous successes of some of the brightest stars in the firmament of our startup ecosystem. Now, this particular episode focuses on national award winning entrepreneurs who all hail from Kerala. And this is being brought to you jointly by NASCOM 10,000 Startups, the Kerala Startup Mission, the Department of Information Technology and Electronics, Government of West Bengal, Government of Karnataka, and the KTech Innovation Hub, in association with our broadcasting partner, Proho.in. And today's guests are we have first Arun George, who's the co founder at Gen Robotic Innovations. With him, we also have Charles Vijay Varghese, who's the CEO of Nava Design and Innovation Private Limited, as also Joy Sebastian, who's the CEO and co-founder of TechGensia Software Technologies Private Limited. A very warm welcome to the show for all of you. Arun, um, guys, you can go off mute. Yeah, all right. Arun, I'll start with you, if I may. Why
Yeah.
don't you take us through your entrepreneurial journey? We'll get into the robotics part of it, but take us a little bit into your entrepreneurial journey and what made you choose this particular venture.
Okay. So about me and Generobotics, we are a team of engineers. Basically, we started this Generobotics as a student startup from back in college. So in college days, we were very passionate about the technologies. Like a group of engineers who were interested in robotics was came together, and we were doing a couple of projects in different robotic stuff. And at that time, there was some projects in college, so we combined with the different department people came together and we started to do some projects. And in college itself we have this IEDC cell which is under the Kerala Startup Mission itself, which is for the
Mhm.
entrepreneurs development cell. So in this cell we registered as a student startup which is 2015. So at that time itself we were focusing on finding some solutions mainly in robotics that can helpful for the mankind. And we first initially we were working on some exoskeleton projects where we were fascinated about robotic movies and all. So at that time the Iron Man, one of our main dream was to make some suit like that and all. But later we understand not a science fiction, rather than finding something to the society, to serve society we have to develop some solutions. So at that that's how the team came together. And then after graduation also we were we were placed in different organization, but still the passion of to find some solution like innovative ideas was inside us. So we and with the support of Kerala Startup Mission, we
Mhm.
again came back together and formed as Gen Robotic Innovation Private Limited, which in 2017. And from there onwards we were working on different projects, and one of the major project was in this Bandicoot robot, which is used for eliminating this manual scavenging. So this project was actually given to us by the government of Kerala itself. So that's a background story behind uh, Gen Robotics. Yeah.
Great. Arun, another quick follow-up question. At this point of time, I understand that if you call it like a G0 or G1 version of your products, started to be built even when you were students, right? And then maybe today you're looking at a G2 or beyond. Uh, at any point of time, did you or your co-founder ever think, okay, I'm just going to do this by the side, but I'm going to get into a plus job? Was there
Uh,
any time in your mind that okay, the job versus the entrepreneurship thing?
Yeah, that was back after college. We were after graduation, we were placed in different organization and we were working, and that was for the the sake of getting a job and to maintain the lifestyle. We have to do that. But the
Mhm.
inside us, the passion was there still to find some innovative products and to make into a product and to serve the society. So all these were there, but once we got an idea about and an opportunity, we grabbed it. And all of we have four founders. My other founders also resigned from the jobs and
Their
came
jobs.
back together, and that's how we again like started. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's great to hear, Arun. And the passion shows. The conviction, the passion, the interest, the excitement. All of that is just evident when you speak. We'll be back for more questions. In the meantime, let me move on to Charles. Um, Charles, to begin with, talk to us about Nava. Is that an acronym for something larger, or is it Nava meaning new in Sanskrit?
Yeah, Nava means new in Sanskrit. I got this name from Sanskrit word Nava only.
Okay, great. So take us through the journey of Nava.
Yeah, like a typical Keralite, I was working in Middle East after my graduation. So I spent over a decade on working in a different domain, from construction to consultancy to sales, but mostly all related to engineering. But my
Mhm,
passion is always been into design new stuffs, and I do lot of sketches on products and all after my work. So that's my, pastime activity. So I know Nira and coconut sap from my childhood, because my father owns a very small farm, and around a dozen of trees were given for tapping. Have you heard about the Nira or coconut sap? It's not the tender coconut water. It's
mhm.
extracting from the flower of the coconut tree before it growing to coconuts. So
Right.
it's a nectar of the tree. So we were given for toddy tapping. It's an alcoholic beverage, but
Mhm,
I had a good relation with the tapper, so he given me the sweet toddy. But the sweet toddy means it's unfermented and it's very delicious and tasty. So from that day itself, I know about this product and the taste facts of this particular drink. So whenever the news comes related to this in the newspaper, I was so curious, and I read it fully. So in 2013, India government has taken a step with the Coconut Development Board and the state government to promote Nira. And it was a big step and had generated a great hope to all coconut farmers. But in a short time, I found many struggling news comes from the farmer side, and many of those went into this Nira tapping. They got into big trouble of bankruptcy and losses. So I dig the details, and I found that getting the tapper is the biggest problem. The tapping is one very skilled job, and it has to do with the proper dedication and all. So it's continue as a traditional job. And when I see this problem, I thought there should be some uh, mechanical solution for this. We can mechanize this and can solve the tapping issues. So first I thought about a climbing machine to climb up the tree and all. But when I went into detail, I found that the activities which happens at the tree crown by a manual tapper is a for a short time. Say it's 10 minutes in a day. So
mhm,
I thought of making a electromechanical design device which can fit over the flower and can do the entire activity of a traditional tapper and get the sap through the tubing down to the ground. So thus saving a lot of tree climbing by the tapper.
mhm.
So, means it's reduced 270 times to 2 times for a single flower. So when I got this idea, then it was in 2016. I was in Oman. Um, then I thought I should make as a startup. Then I registered as a startup, and I applied for a professional patent. And then on my vacation in 2017, I went to Coconut Development Board and presented, and they welcomed my idea. And I went back Oman and put up my resignation and came back to India and started this.
That's great. That's a delightful story. So tell us about the initial reception, Charles, that you felt from the board that you presented, right? Did you get the kind of, not just the momentum, but what we say, right? The mentoring, the incubation, the help and support from an infrastructural standpoint that so many early stage startups need. Were you able to get that?
Yeah, from Coconut Development Board, I didn't get much support because I didn't ask for those technical supports like an incubation. What I need that whether this idea will work or not. Once it's realized, is it practical or not? So I found it practical. Then when I back to India, I first came to Maker Village, which is one of the hardware incubator here, and in association with Kerala Startup Mission, I presented my idea, and they given me incubation space. So from there, I'm till today I'm incubating in Maker Village itself.
Nice. That's great. Okay. So Charles will be back for more questions.
Yeah,
In the
sure.
meantime, we'll move over to Joy. So Joy, tell us about the journey of Techgensia. I mean, when you just see the name, to me, it's like a mix, right? So I've got intelligentsia, so there's obviously something around intelligence and things going on around data and around communication, and then of course there's technology. But that's just me. Why don't you take us through your journey?
Yeah. Good evening, Avik. Actually, the name comes from two words, technology and intelligentsia. We combined it together and made it Techgensia. That's it. So I don't want to explain more because the words
Hmm.
tell it.
Yeah.
So my journey is a bit different from Arun's and Charles's because I was in the field for 20 years now. I was working for a company starting from 2000, a product company in Kochi, actually.
Okay.
And I was doing something similar. What I was doing in the first company was an audio conferencing over voice over IP. So I moved to video conferencing in 2009 and started my company along with one of my friends who was working with me in the first company. And
Hmm.
we started worked as a what you call product research and development company for a US based firm. And it is not a typical startup what we see in the newer
Right. The newer
present age.
generation of startups, so to speak.
Newer
Yes.
generation startup. But we were in the domain for 10 years now. And fortunately, we were doing some work for foreign companies, R&D for foreign companies who want video conferencing, multi-party video conferencing. Especially, we fortunately found out that the video conferencing domain was ruled by hardware-based solutions,
Mhm.
and it was very costly affair for a video conferencing solution, especially multi-party video conferencing solution. And in 2014-15 we found out that we done a breakthrough, like we were able to do the video conferencing, multi-party video conferencing using software only, which
Right.
uses the generic hardware. Earlier, hardware was specifically designed for video conferencing, especially from Cisco and Polycom. They were doing hardware-based video conferencing. Till now, it is very costly. And we were able to do the same thing. The Polycom Cisco devices also can be part of the meetings using our software. We were able
Okay.
to mix multi-party video using generic software. That is what the breakthrough we done in 2015. And we were able to find out some clients for that who were
Hmm.
providing
Sure.
video conferencing service to Europe and US, especially professional video conferencing service. So till 2020, we were doing the same thing. We were doing continuing our research and development in the video conferencing domain. And the COVID came in, and the government of India announced the video conferencing challenge for a Make in India, search for a Make in India video conference. And
Yes.
that's where we found out that there is a possibility that India can also have a software based video conferencing, which is professional. And so we tried for the challenge, and I was a bit skeptical for going into the government projects and all, because my
Hmm.
experience was not that nice earlier, because the tedious process I am, and also I am a technical guy, so I may not be able to move into the tenders, do the
Hmm. Hmm. Because they have a
the
lot of processes. Some of them can be a little bureaucratic
lot
and
of procedures. So
involved. Right.
I couldn't make that out. So I didn't thought about something to do in India. But
Okay.
we were having some revenue from outside, and it is enough to run a company like us. We were around 70 people, 70 R&D engineers, and this innovation challenge, which was announced by Ministry of Electronics and IT, that made the whole change in the scenario.
Mhm.
Around 2,000 companies were participated in that, and we were came out as the official video conferencing partner for Government of
Yes.
India right now, and our product vConsole will be used going forward by Government of India as Bharat VC. That is what they call it, Bharat VC, and they started rolling out it to Government of India departments right now, and we are now getting a lot of inquiries. That is the story of Techgentia till today, and we
That's
won the
absolutely.
1 crore rupee award. That's a huge, one of the
Mhm.
largest award that is given by Meiti yet. That is what we won last
Exactly.
August.
And that's a phenomenal achievement. Congrats to you. And what I really love is I think it again shows that that India can do it. Against all odds. If we go back last year, around the middle of last year, there was a time where the number of COVID cases was climbing substantially up, right? 80,000, 90,000, 96,000, 97,000 per day. And the rest of the world was just looking at it. Okay, so India's getting into a disaster, right? It's going to be the worst thing possible. Economy is taking a nosedive. I think the rest of the world had pretty much written us off. And I really salute people like you and all of you, right, who work in your teams, because it is the effort of each one of you individual guys who says, okay, this is a biggest problem, right? The biggest challenge that we have seen in the past 100+ years. So nobody's living memory, right? But what is the opportunity in this challenge? What is the opportunity amidst all this doom and gloom? And what can we do to turn things around, right? I think that is the attitude that really, really shines through. And I really commend all of you for that. Um, Arun, we'll go back to you. And I want to hone in on one particular thing. You see, everyone, every startup, every founder is trying to solve some particular problem, right? That goes without saying. But what I think is absolutely entrenched in the ethos, in the DNA of Gen Robotics is benefit of mankind, social benefit. I mean, you spoke for just about 5 minutes and that came out 3 times. Okay, I was actually counting, and that's so. Tell us about that, and I have a deeper reason for asking about this. Right, one can always say, look, you know what? I'm going to develop something that is going to be so powerful that NASA is going to use it. So I'm going to be basically the back end of the NASA's, right? Or I'm going to go, and start joining the pharma. Where already India is pretty much like the pharma factory of the world, and especially now with vaccines and everything else coming in, right? Which has a great benefit thing. In your case, why was benefiting mankind such an important thing for you guys?
Yeah, as I said, initially we were doing some projects basically to find some solutions on different fields. But we understand that it's not developing a solution rather than how it can be useful for humankind. So in the first example, I'll say about the project that we did in college was exoskeleton suit. So we understand that these suits can be used in different purposes. One is like for the rehabilitating the elderly people, also who have disabled people like that. So that is a purpose of that project that can be used for this kind of uses. So when we are developing some ideas or something, that we are thinking about how we can serve it to the mankind, like how we can solve a big issue. So the once we started as a company, there were two things. One was our previous project that we want to take it forward, this
Mhm.
exoskeleton suit, and one was the project that given by the Kerala government, that to develop a solution to eliminate this manual scavenging. So we start to do the project both, and initially we were thinking about solving the first project that we started. But later we understood, when we do the research on on this manual scavenging and finding a solution, we understand the problem, that the severity of the problem. So in Kerala itself, there was a news incident happened, which is in Calicut. Three people were, like, two workers were working in this manhole, and one person was fell unconscious, and someone standing near to the auto driver was there. He also entered into this manhole to help him, and then all three were dead in 20 minutes. So that's how the life was, just like in 20 minutes all three people were.
Just gone.
Yes. So we were like, why, like, people are sending, as you said, like, a lot of technologies have development is happening, people are sending missiles to Mars and all, but still
Exactly.
near to our earth, to the ground, the people are dying. Why there is no other solution? That that's that triggered us. And what we did, we paused all other projects and we focused on this project mainly. And we started to do research in the sense, like, not only through web and all, we directly communicate with these people. We got connected with this government officials who handles the sewer department, and even we interact with the manual scavengers also. What is their problem, why there is no other solutions, and what are the drawback of the current solutions? And we understand each and every factor, and then we started to develop this solution. So even in that case also, we thought, like, even these people are working in this situation, why they are working? Because they don't have any other option. Like, most are like uneducated,
Yes.
like,
They
people are
could be
there,
illiterate and they don't have any
illiterate,
other skills. Right.
other options also. So we thought, like, yeah, we are finding a solution, but we don't want to take their jobs also, because they even you can say, like, manual scavenging is the dirtiest job in the world. Like, it's the
Yes.
highest number one, and still people are doing it because they don't have any other option. So we thought, like, we have to find a solution also. That solution should be useful to these people also. So we thought, like, we have to take we did the project, and in initial prototyping stage itself, we invite manual scavengers to our lab, and we use them, as as controller. This common people can use this machine. Like that, we develop the solution. And the robotics has a lot of flexibility. So in the case of this manual scavenging, was like, people in this manhole, the person who is entering should do a lot of actions, like scrapping, the grabbing the waste, like, from different corners and all. So robotic is a wonderful technology where there's a lot of flexibility is there. So finding a perfect solution in robotics was one of the major challenge, and nobody has think about it. Even this in last year only, one newspaper report was saying, like, every 5 days one manual scavenger is dying in India. So that much is the scale of this death. And our nearby state, Tamil Nadu, is the highest number of manhole death happening. Like in Kerala, it's in our Kerala, the sewer system is still developing. But if we are looking into the northern part, also the death is very much, like, nobody is caring about these people. So once we started the project, we invite these workers in lab, and we uh, train them to use this machine. We got feedback from them, we upgrade like that, and after that it was officially launched in 2018 in Kerala. Within short period of 1 year, we covered around, now we have, the robot are using 12 states in India. And so that was the growth of this project. And we're very happy to see that transformation, like, through introducing our project. Not only just giving a technology, we build a team to mainly to rehabilitate these workers also. So whenever we are
Right.
providing a product to a customer, we are providing a training to these workers also. So in as a Generobotics, we have a foundation also there, Generobotic Foundation, which mainly aims for the rehabilitation of these workers. So that's how we can solve an issue. Like, not only giving a technology will not solve, maybe, but the
Absolutely.
whole
But to
the
empower them, to empower the
empower them.
users and
Yes,
make them successful at using that technology.
yes,
Otherwise, it's the age-old problem, right? You have technology to replace, the machine will replace the man, and where will that man go? He's unskilled to begin with, right? Then he will
yes,
start to
yes,
starve, right?
yes.
So right now, across all of these 12 states, how many, let's say, manual scavenging workers are approximately would be using the robotic machines?
So the estimate that we got is like more than 700 plus manual scavengers are gone through our rehabilitation program in all the states. So they're like in a group bunch ways we train them and we provide the robot also. Like even in some states we hire this manual scavengers as operator also. So
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
uh, finding a solution and so that serving to the end people, like the end user was one of our happiest and luckiest problem. Like as an engineer, as an like an engineer also, finding a solution is one thing and to serve the
Yes.
mankind is second thing. Like so both was done to this project. And now also we are focusing, as you said, like serving the mankind. We are now focusing on the project that we post, this exoskeleton project. Now we are going for this Gen Robotics as another division, also medical and mobility, where we are focusing to develop that solution. And now we are launching the product soon. Within a couple of months, we'll be launching the product, which is mainly focusing for the rehabilitation of these disabled people, like to regain their abilities. So yeah, this is our main aim. And we want to do a couple of lot of other projects also. We have a lot of ideas also, trying to find a lot of like even when you interact with different officials also, there are a lot of problems which can be solved within matter of minutes. Like if someone has just to focus on that particular problem, this thing can be solved within a month. Like the project duration taken for this Bandicoot development was around 6 to 8 months. We developed the first prototype. So that was around more than 50 years this manual scavenging is happening in India. Still nobody was thinking within six
Mm-hmm.
to eight months a group of 8 engineers can develop and find a solution. And now in all over India this solution is used. Yeah.
Wow. And and as I was thinking, right, technology wise, methodology wise, you'll say what you're doing for the disabled people and what you're doing for, let's say, manual scavenging workers is completely different, right? You would
Yeah.
tend to think maybe that there's nothing which is common to these two projects. I see
Yes.
something, uh, maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, I see something that is fundamentally the same across these two. Okay, I'll tell you what I think it is. If you're talking about the manual scavenging people, right? They are the lowest of the low. So it's not just the tremendous amount of health hazards and public safety that they're constantly at risk of infection, as you said, and risk of danger of like manhole deaths and so forth, right? But it's
Yeah.
also the complete lack of human dignity. So the moment that person becomes an operator of a machine, right, is working together with the machine, that simple hybrid shift restores some of the human dignity to that person, which was never there, right?
Yes.
Similarly,
Yes.
if I'm looking at disabled people, they can come from the best strata, socioeconomic strata of society, but you know how it is. Somebody has to get into a lift, somebody has to use a disabled washroom, you go into a mall, you go into an office, people will always tend to look, not if not down at you, but slight tinge of pity, as if you are less than them, right? So again,
Yes.
there is a lot of human dignity. So the moment you're helping that is again, to me, if I think about it deeply, it's a restoration of human dignity in a way.
Definitely, definitely. Yes, yes. So as you mentioned, you were saying about this transformation change. There was a moment which I never forgot in my life, was the product launch. On that launch day, in lab. We trained the workers, like, and one person from Kerala, his name is Sadish. He was a ex manual scavenger. So in this launch day, the robot was operated by this worker, and seeing the happiness of the family people, like the daughter and the wife of this Sadish, was one of the happiest moment that I still never forget. Like seeing that transformation. Like
Mhm,
earlier
mhm.
maybe they were not happy to say like my father was working as sanitation worker. Now they can proudly say like my father is working as the operator of this robot.
Operator, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So that was one of the happiest moments still. I
That's a paradigm shift for them.
Yes,
Lovely,
yes, yes.
great. Charles, back to you. So tell us in terms of the USP of let's say the business operations at Nava, and also how you see your operations expanding and blossoming over time.
Right. So we are now at the piloting stage. We are an early stage startup. So to get into commercial scale, we are still on the phase, and our product development is still going on. So our USP is that for tapping and inflorescence, uh, around the world it's going manually, and it took 3 times in a day for a tapper to climb up the tree around the 40 to 50 feet high to do his job. And at the top he need to do certain process which is very uh, critical part, and has to do it in a proper way to ripen it, otherwise the entire tree also will get spoiled. So that part is the job of our tapping device, where we are fixing that flower, fixing that device to the flower by a tapper itself. So
Mm-hmm.
means that tapper job we are not taking away. The tapper's productivity we are multiplying to 72 folds. So that's quite huge. So one tapper can replace 72 traditional tappers. And when we see this market, people here in India not much aware about the value added product from SAP. Whereas in the global market, it has $1 billion worth. Means there is a coconut sugar which tend derived from the coconut sap, has around 1.8 billion dollar market. And we all know Nira as a delicious drink, but there are other products like coconut syrup, which is the only sweetener which can added to the tender coconut water industry. And we have coconut cider vinegar, which can replace the apple cider vinegar, and
Mm-hmm.
has arak and toddy, other alcoholic beverages, which is a fermented form of the sap. So altogether, we have a great potential. Being the third largest country in coconut cultivation, we haven't untapped this potential. And whereas Indonesia and Philippines, being the first and the second, they are doing it in a great level.
Great scale.
And those countries like Thailand, Malaysia, Vietnam, and all, they are doing far better than us in this tapping, especially the Sri Lanka also. So what we doing, providing a technology which will enable the mass production of the SAP.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
this is the first in the world someone bringing that mechanization on tapping. That's the reason we got patent internationally, and we registered the national phase patent to another 28 countries, and Indian patent also granted for the invention. So our USPs are one, it's doubling the income of a farmer when comparing to
Mm-hmm.
the manual tapping. And when comparing to the coconut sales, a farmer will get more than 10 times of income from the coconut sales by selling the sap. And
Right.
the tapper job is also a very risky job. This is considered as one of the dangerous job in the world, and many tappers are falling down from the tree
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
getting
Mm-hmm.
injured, or some and
Or
many
even die.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, even die. So this risk is not completely eliminating, we are eliminating to a great extent. And we are practicing tappers in future to do the harness and safety belts when doing the operation, because their current method is to tap around minimum of 10 trees, means 30 times a tapper has to climb. Whereas with the device installation, he may need to climb only 8 times for an installation in a day. So his effort also getting lesser, and the same time the farmer also getting benefits out of the sap production.
Right. So, talk to us about the final market of this as well, Charles, because what it seems to me is when you're talking about not just the SAP, which is helping these, tappers, but there's also the external market. So, for example, think about the first time that we had the mango drink introduced to us in India, or the lime or limca, like before your time. But I was a kid back then, right? So, it almost seems to me that you are evolving and you're creating a market, an external market for a range of alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks which are made from the sap. Because right now, what people would think is, okay, I'll go take a vacation. I'll get the syringe in the arm. I'll go take a vacation in Kerala. I'll go to the backwaters and I'll get fresh coconut water. They'll cut it, put a straw, and I'll have that, right? But that is not the same thing as what you are doing. There are so many different kinds of flavors involved in the final product from the sap,
Right.
right?
It's not the tender coconut water. Tender coconut water we are taking out from the tender coconut, whereas this sap has abundant source of minerals, vitamins, and antioxidants. So it's far more healthier than a tender coconut water, and it can be considered as one of the medicine also. Nira. So the coconut sugar, which derived from the coconut sap, is diabetic friendly. It has a glycemic index less than 35. It can consume by the diabetic patients also. So that's the funda about the products which comes out from this. And this industry, why it's not scaling? Because of the lack of mechanization. Now we are bringing the mechanization, means it will be a great hope for every coconut farmers and industries. So one good incident is that once we did the prototype of our device, uh, the mass producers from Philippines and Sri Lanka, those directors, they came down to see the product, and they given us a paid piloting order to do at their farms.
Oh, wow.
So
Lovely.
before getting into commercial, we have some commercial hands with those biggest manufacturers now. So the potential of this device will be tapped in India, then it will be a big source of foreign revenue.
Right. And foreign revenue we'll get into, but talk to me about what you think the size of the Indian market itself would be for this.
In terms of the size of the Indian market, mostly the southern states are good in the coconut cultivation. But if you see the last few decades, the northern states like Gujarat, West Bengal, and Maharashtra, every state started planting the coconuts. Now,
Plantations, yes.
yeah, the plantations are increasing and increasing. So in India, we have around 2 million hectares of coconut land, and every coconut farming societies can change to the Nira production. Means we have around 10 lakh societies, and which covers around 10 crore trees. So that's a huge potential. But if we could tap at least 5% of that, will be
Would
a
be a
huge
huge,
revenue.
huge thing in, yes.
Huge revenue, yes, right. So we are thinking about not direct selling for the Indian farmers. We are making a subscription model for them. Means
Okay.
they will be giving a monthly rent for the device, and they can utilize
And they
the
can utilize
entire.
that. They can use that. Okay.
Yes,
So
and
they will basically like
about.
lease the equipment from you.
Yeah, above that, our device has a wireless connectivity, and we have a AI working in parallel. So means every data will be getting to the farmers, as well as we have our own analytics to understand the diseases or the condition of the tree.
Okay. Okay. So how many people do you have in your team at the moment, and what's your scale up plan?
Yeah, right now we have a 10-member team with mixed domain, mechanical, automation, AI, and all. So we are about to get some new grants. So we are going to scale to a double size.
Lovely. That's great. We'll be back again for more questions. In the meantime, Joy, why don't you take us through some of the USPs that you have at Techgencia and how
Yeah,
that's taking things forward?
yeah, Avik, the video conferencing solution we are making is a bit different from what we see in StreamYard,
Okay.
Zoom, and Google Meet. It's a different technology. Our technology is basically a technology using mixing of video and rendering into the participants. All other contestants, Zoom and Google Meet, everyone is using SFU, what we call. That is a forwarding unit only. They are just forwarding the video and the client is rendering the video. That means you have adding a small amount of data, bandwidth on the client side, when a user adds to it, a new user adds to it. Our technology is a bit different. We will be mixing the videos of all the participants on a server side and then rendering it as a single stream. That's a difference. So you can maintain even on lower bandwidth, your video conferencing will be perfect and a good quality one. That's a difference. But there is a server side bleeding there. The technology is a bit costly, but we are focusing the enterprise. That is why we are focusing the enterprise market, especially the larger corporates, governments, military, those kind of customers. That is what we are focusing right now. And we are getting a lot of inquiries on that. That is one USP I am saying. The technology itself is different. And our technology can support the higher end devices like the Polycom's boardroom video conferencing devices, Cisco's boardroom Polycom devices. They can also enter into the same meeting. That means the legacy investments in the video conferencing can be saved, and that legacy investments can be used in our conference. That is the major advantage. That is what won the award. Actually, government of India and other governments, they already invested tons of dollars into it already. Every government sector, every corporate enterprise already invested a lot of money into the legacy video conferencing systems. And by using our technology, that is not going to be a waste. They can use that. So also they can invite people who are using web PC, mobile devices along with that. That means Prime Minister can have a meeting from his boardroom to general public. That is what we are, general public who is using a small and smartphone. That's all. That is the highest edge we are providing. Also, we are focusing on-premises model. That is one of the requirements from the government of India. They need an on-premises model to be run on NIC cloud, owned by government of India, and they need the secure conference over under their control. That is what they requested. So that is what one of the USB we are telling to every government, every enterprises. You cannot rely on the public cloud-based video conferencing. You can have your own cloud, and you can go ahead with that, and you can host your own video conferencing solution on your data center, on your cloud, and then you can go. And your data is secure, and your data is very private to you. That is one of the things. Every government is looking for it. India government, one of the first to go for it actually, because India government want something to be developed inside India and something to be hosted by their own cloud, and to be run their show, their secure conference to be under their control. They are just skeptic about the security over the open cloud and public cloud. And if you consider the European market, the GDPR is coming in place, and GDPR is something that wants data to be inside their boundaries, the country boundaries. So our solution can be an option for them, and that is one of the best thing we are experiencing from Europe. We are getting a lot of inquiries right now to have this on their own cloud and on premises. And of course, our solution is a easily integratable solution to any of the software. So if you want your CRM, your ERP, your any other software solution that is already using to be enabled on a multi-party video conferencing suite, you can just approach it. We can easily integrate it, and on the fly, you can have a multi-party video conferencing into your system, the legacy systems. Also, one of the important thing is the product is now capable of handling any devices, any data center, any cloud. Just go and do. That is it. That is what we are telling to everybody now. And the product is of good quality and everywhere. Now C&DG, our controller and auditor general, started using it for their own in their own
Wow.
cloud. Apart from government of India, of course, Indian Navy is now started their uh, trial
Mhm.
run, and they started using it for some of their events, some of their major events. Last month, Indian Navy, the Southern Naval Command used it for their Navy Day program, which was
That's amazing.
the governor of Kerala was participated using our solution. So we are so proud that government of India and all the state governments are now using it, and that is a proud moment for us. Apart from the award and all, this is
Yes.
what we are feeling good and well. That is one thing.
That's absolutely so heartening and wonderful to hear, because here we were, right, we were kind of lagging behind many of the others, and this is a clear instance where we don't have to import a solution at 5 times the cost from the US or Germany or elsewhere. It is a technology, it's a robust framework, it's a solution, that is produced indigenously in India and has such huge takers across the country. I think the other game changer, going back to the first things that you said, right? If I look at, again, going back 10, 12 years, it was, if not a monopoly, it was like a cartel. You had 2 or 3 big players, so they would insist, right? And it was very easy for them to kind of collude and drive the cost very high. So only very, very large companies would be able to afford it, and the others would be bleeding if they had to
Yeah,
do that. Now, the other thing that you've done is by making it so accessible and by making it integrable into so many different kinds of across those, technology stacks, right? I think the affordability is also not, I mean, I'm not talking about the big government agencies that you mentioned, but even when you go into a B2B, the private enterprises, a lot many more companies will now see that, yes, this is affordable and I want to use it, particularly in the emerging, WHF, a work from home or a hybrid kind of model that we are going to have going forward.
you are right, Avika. We are thinking like that. Most of the players, the other software players, who need something integrated, because everyone need video right now.
Yes.
In any case, every software, everything need a video right now. So we are thinking that if it is the when it compares to the pricing, if you want to connect a legacy device to Zoom conference, you have to pay $40 per device per month additional. Our solution is you can have any number of devices connected to the solution, because they are using a third party tool to connect that legacy
Connect that.
devices.
Right. Right.
Ours is an integrated solution. That's a difference. We have an edge there. Definitely, we have an edge there.
I mean, that's a paradigm
Even,
shifting. That's a
Abhi,
game
I would
changing.
like to add, even Google is using third-party APIs, third-party tools to connect legacy devices to their Google Meet. But ours is an integrated solution, the complete integrated solution. We don't need any other API to integrate that.
Right.
That is flawless, seamless, the third-party devices.
Wonderful. So we are getting to the last leg of the program, and why don't we do like reverse order? So Joy, you go first, and then Charles, and then we'll end with Arun. And I want to talk a little bit about, the aspirant startup professionals or people who've had a very, very tough time last year. Because as we know, the pandemic, the results of that have been absolutely disrupting, and so many startups have had to literally go under or really, really struggle in order to stay afloat. And plus there would have been others, so many others, who would have had talks with incubators, talks with investors, talks amongst themselves, tried to raise capital, and would have thought that, okay, in 2020, I'm going to launch. And then they shifted out. And then as the pandemic started getting worse, they would have had lots of questions in their mindset. Should I actually do it? Or should I just play safe? Or should I go back to a job? Should I do something? All of these things would be going up, right? Now, as we get into 2021, with the economy on the mend, right? Market seems to be doing well. Vaccinations are on the way. What would your advice be to these aspiring startup founders? Joy, we start with you.
Definitely go after your idea. There is no doubt, because the pandemic is not going to actually diminish your dreams. That is going to blow it, because as I see, there are a lot of new opportunities coming up with the pandemic. The pandemic is stressful for everyone, that is true. But the pandemic is opening doors to new opportunities, a lot new opportunities. Just think about proctoring exams. A lot of, when I see my technology itself, there are a lot of new opportunities that is growing up in front of me. That means now it is time to go for something, go after it and find it, because people were last year, people were skeptical about doing anything new. Now this is the time to invest in your idea. This is the time to tap your innovation. This is the time to open to the public. So go for it. People are behind you, everyone, because every government in Kerala and of course government of
Across,
India. And
across.
I knew across the country, startups and innovations are getting a lot of attention from the ecosystem, the
Yes.
surroundings. So you need to go for it, find it out, and go for the market. India is a huge market, nobody can beat that market around the globe. So that market, if we are not tapping it, foreigners will tap it. There is so that is for true, because the openings are open to everyone now. So
Mhm.
go and tap it. We have the intellectual, we have the caliber, we
We have
have
the
the
talent, right? We have the potential, we have the talent, we have the skills. We don't lack anything, I think.
go for it and tap it out.
Wonderful. Excellent. It's really nice to see that verve of positivity and energy in you always, and that lovely smile. Charles, what's your advice for wannabe startup entrepreneurs?
My advice is not so different from Mr. Joy. I have the same advice to all the aspirants, because once upon a time we were also an aspirant and we brought the company
Sure.
to this level. So from one member team to a 10-member team was a transition, and we did lot of struggle, but there are big opportunities from the government side also, from the Kerala Startup Mission, from NASCOM, from the other central agencies like BIRAC, lot of grants out there. So if their ideas or their services which can fit into any of these criteria, they can grab these grants and they can move forward from the ideation stage till the productization stage to scale up. For every stages there are supports. So I think this year both central and the state have announced many more facilities for the
Mhm.
upcoming startups. So try to grab those opportunities and get into it. And as I can see that there are a lot of problems which rise after this pandemic, and these all problems can be changed to a solution. Then it will be a new product or service. So tap it and move forward.
Absolutely. Um, Arun, we'll come to you next.
Yeah. Yes. So the pandemic pandemic period was one of our challenging period also. But what we thought is like rather than use this time period to find something innovative. So the next product that is coming up in 2-3 months is the work in this pandemic period. Our whole team was working from work from home and working on this particular project to make that time useful for finding some other solutions. And even in our cases also, the Bandicoot robot can be used in sanitation area. And the pandemic in pandemic also, the sanitation is one of the major concerns of the people. So if I'm looking into the sales of the product launch in this pandemic period, it is more than 30 plus robots are launched in the 8 to 9 months on this period. So there are other opportunities are there. Still we understand that in sewer water also there is a presence of this COVID virus. So that was our highlighting point to the government also. Like the people are entering into the manholes, and even the COVID-19 is spreading through sewer system also. So
Mhm.
promoting the technology in that area is that makes our a boost to our product also in that time. And in this, what I am saying to the newcomers is like grab the opportunity. Like we said, initially we were working on a different organization, and when we got an opportunity, we grabbed it and took forward it. So there are a lot of like ecosystem is developing currently. Startup Mission and also Startup India is providing a lot of supports to the startup. So yeah, like if you can just, if you're dreaming, you can make it into real success once you start to grab the opportunities. Yeah, that's it.
Great, because essentially what I'm hearing from all three of you is that post pandemic, it is time for us to look at the opportunities, right?
Yeah.
And not look at, see, because there's a pros and cons, right? But look at the side of the coin which is brighter and which is
Yeah.
presenting the opportunities. Identify the opportunities and grab them. Uh, Alongside, because we talked about a lot of support, and all of you have raised funds, have been incubated, have been funded by really premier companies, enterprises, and incubators. How difficult is it today? Because one of the things that was happening, I would say, at least from April, March, April onwards till back into September, October, is that many analysts, and including reporting the NASCOM, they were saying that okay, the funds are drying up. The investors, the incubators, they are taking a step back because they don't know how bad this is going to be, how long this is going to last. So a lot of the startups which want to scale up, right, which have a prototype, have a product in place, have an initial team in place, have a couple of paying clients, and they want to really scale up, we're finding it very difficult at that point of time to raise capital. If you just think about that, just raising the capital, the grants, the funding, whatever term you want to give it, how easy or difficult is it today? Any of you, or maybe all of you, just a minute each.
If their idea is novel, then they have
Mhm.
a better chance for winning all the grants. If their
Okay.
idea is novel and there is a value for the idea, there is a market demand, then it's a right fit and they can get the grant. That's with my experience, I'm telling.
Okay. Lovely. Joy, you want to go next?
Avik, I didn't raise funds yet. We were running on our own revenue till today. So that is now we are looking for something, and we are getting a lot of good inquiries on the funding part. That is what I'm seeing right now, because
Hmm.
we need to have to make a good infrastructure to run the show on a pan global
Yes.
kind of
Yes.
stuff. So that is where we are looking for funding, but we are getting a lot of inquiries, enthusiasms from the investors. That means maybe our product is a pro-pandemic product. That is why maybe the video conferencing is a pro-pandemic thing. So pandemic is not affecting our prospects yet. But what Charles was saying was right. And if your idea is novel and if it has a market pitch, then
Hmm.
I think now also funders are ready, investors are ready to go, and also the government grants are now. It is not small thing; it is huge to make a prototype into a product. Even government grants in Kerala, if you look at it, the government investment is very huge on this startup right now. That means also last month, I think last week or so, Prime Minister announced a 1,000 crore worth funding program for the startups. That means a lot, because if you consider 1,000 startups get 1 crore each, that means their products are going to come up nicely out there.
Absolutely. Yes.
That's huge.
Yes. Exactly. And Arun, last but not the least, we definitely want to hear from Gen Robotics because, if I'm not mistaken, just the seed funding for you guys was about what, 340,000, $350,000, around that range.
Yes, yes. That was also happened in this pandemic period only. We were focusing on this project, and it was like we have a venture capitalist, the Unicorn India Ventures, and recently we in our Generobotics, Anand Mahindra was also invested to take our mission into the next level also. So at that time also we were on that mission itself. Even the pandemic period also, our team got special permission to work on the production to produce more robots. And since it's the sanitation sector is one of the major sector where the product can be used, and it is an essential service also. So we were working on that part, and once we said like even this pandemic is not affecting us, we are moving forward, and all this made us to get that investment without affecting the pandemic thing. So yeah, looking forward and moving forward is the best thing to get that fund, whatever. And also, as I mentioned, like there are a lot of grants currently. The government of India and even the our story start from a grant store, like the Kerala Startup Mission initially given the grant. With that grant only we started, and now also a lot of grants we got. CSR also, like CSR funding is also another option there that a lot of startups can like opt to do their projects. Yeah.
Exactly. Um, you know, Arun, Joy, Charles, it's been such a pleasure talking to all of you. And I want to put this out to the viewers in conclusion, right? That we've talked about innovation, we've talked about productivity, we've talked about scaling up, we've talked about we can do it here in India. One thing that I want to add, particularly talking to these three gentlemen, is you can see the tremendous sense of hope, of optimism, of positivity, and another thing which is not always easy to find, and that is humility. If you look at it, all of these three lovely gentlemen are national award winners. I know for a fact that one of them could not join us today because he has a personal meeting with the finance minister. Otherwise, he would have also probably joined us. I mean, that is the kind of level at which they are interacting at the apex level. And yet, when you hear them, you have the humility of people who will talk to, who will reach out to, who will work with the Aam Admi, and I don't mean it politically, the man on the street, and make life better for mankind. So, on that very hopeful, positive, and grateful, thankful mood, let's bring this to an end. Viewers, I hope you really enjoyed this special edition that we started off the year with. We'll be back again with another episode around the same time next month. Up until then, stay safe, stay well. Thank you. Bye bye. Goodbye.